They called her wild, reckless, untamed, but no one saw the girl behind the storm. Janis Joplin, the name still hums through the decades like a vinyl crackle that refuses to fade. 55 years have passed, yet her laughter, raw and broken, still echoes in the corners of every dive bar and smoky stage. She was the flame that lit America's soul, but it was her loneliness that fed that fire. Imagine being told you were ugly your whole life, and then one day, the world kneels before your voice. How do you carry both rejection and worship in the same heart? Janis never learned how. Her songs were her confession, her concerts her confessional booth. Every note she screamed was a wound reopening, every silence a cry she swallowed. And beneath the strobe lights, between whiskey and applause, the girl from Port Arthur was quietly breaking. Port Arthur was a small town with sharp tongues and shallow hearts. Acne carved quiet maps across Janis's face, and cruel nicknames followed her down school hallways like shadows she could not escape. While other girls practiced charm and sweet smiles, Janis scribbled pain into notebooks and strummed it into life on a worn guitar. She was never made for beauty queens or polite conversations. Her beauty lived in the cracks, in the raw truth she carried without apology. At 19, she was done hiding. She packed her sorrow, her unfinished songs, and left Texas, chasing something louder than shame. San Francisco, thick with revolution and music, felt like oxygen to her starving soul. But every paradise has its poisons. Between dim bars and open mic nights, Janis found both freedom and addiction waiting with open arms. Whiskey softened the noise inside her head, heroin numbed the ache no applause could touch. Friends whispered warnings, but she was already drifting, laughter slurred, eyes hollow, voice flickering like a candle in the wind. When they brought her home, she returned like a ghost wrapped in fragile determination. For a moment, she tried to rebuild herself, clean, sober, breathing but breakable. Yet deep inside, the stage still called her name, soft and relentless. And Janis, born from fire not silence, turned toward the lights again, even knowing they might burn her whole.
What else can you do? I know you feel it, you through.
When Janis stepped onto the stage at the Avalon Ballroom in 1966, it felt like the world forgot how to breathe. Her voice, part scream and part lightning, tore through the smoky air like truth cutting through a lie. In that moment, she was no longer the girl they mocked in Port Arthur. She became the voice of every misfit who ever wanted to be heard. Big Brother and the Holding Company was more than a band, it was her tribe, her rebellion screaming through amplifiers. Monterey Pop Festival turned her into a legend, but legends are just people with deeper scars. Behind the sweat, the flowers in her hair and the blinding stage lights, she was slowly unraveling again. The same substances that gave her the courage to sing now came back to claim their price. Friends tried to protect her, to pull her away from the needle, but she always found a way back to it. Fame clapped for her by day and closed its hands around her throat by night. The crowd screamed louder, yet the silence in her hotel room felt heavier than ever. She tried to fill that silence with love, with men who came and left, with laughter, with music turned up to drown out the ache. But emptiness is a loyal shadow. No matter how loud the applause, it waited for her when the lights went dark. And Janis, burning like a star no one could hold, kept singing even as the void inside her sang back.
Nice to see you, my little songbird. That was beautiful.
Not all of them.
Not all of them, no.
She searched for love as if it were the last song she would ever sing. Peter, Bernard, David, each man came into her life like a gentle verse, beautiful but painfully brief. With David in Brazil, she almost found peace. The ocean wind softened her voice, the sunlight steadied her trembling hands. For a while, the bottles stayed closed, the needles stayed away, and her heart beat quietly instead of burning. But love never stayed long for Janis. It was always borrowed time, always slipping through her fingers. When she returned to America, the old demons were waiting like loyal dogs. She slipped back into chaos, into nights that blurred, into the arms of lovers who were as broken as she was. Addiction became a duet she did not know how to stop singing. Still, she believed, with that stubborn Port Arthur heart, that one day she would get it right, on stage, in love, in life. In 1970, she formed Full Tilt Boogie, her final act of defiance against the darkness. And for a while, it worked. The music roared with new power, her laughter returned backstage, and for brief flickers of time she felt almost alive in her own skin. Crowds screamed her name, her voice soared higher than it ever had. But when the lights died and the room was empty, she still whispered to her reflection in the mirror, "Just one more night, Janis. Then you will quit." It was the kindness of a lie, soft enough to believe. But the truth was waiting beneath it, silent, patient, and fatal.
It's coming late. Well, I'm 25 years older now. So
October 4th, 1970. The morning felt unnaturally quiet. In room 105 of the landmark Motor Hotel, the air still held the echo of footsteps that would never come back. They found her lying alone, lips bruised, nose broken, a syringe resting on the nightstand beside her. The coroner called it an accidental overdose, but those who loved her knew it was heartbreak wearing a medical name. Friends replayed their last promises, the phone calls they did not make, the knocks on her door that came too late. Some said she simply tripped, her sandal catching the carpet as fate finished the performance. Others whispered that it was loneliness that killed her long before the heroin ever touched her veins. Her ashes were scattered into the Pacific, the same ocean that once calmed her trembling heart. Her body disappeared beneath the blue, but her voice refused to follow. It rose again from radios, from dusty vinyl, from every soul that ever felt broken and unafraid to sing. Me and Bobby McGee. Mercedes-Benz. Each song a ghost that would not fade. Janis Joplin did not die at 27. She simply burned too bright for a world that prefers dimmer lights. Even now, when her raspy voice cracks through the static, it feels like she is still here, wild and wounded, beautifully alive in the ruins she left behind.